Welcome to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast, the secret weapon in your ears for triathletes who want to get fitter, faster, stronger, and healthier with evidence-based nutrition. Today's guest on the podcast is TNA athlete Brian McLean. Brian knows firsthand just how important nutrition is for recovery and resilience and triathlon performance, because 9 months ago, Brian tore his ACL and found himself on the sidelines. Like so many athletes, though, the physical pain of that is one thing, but the identity hit of being taken out of training and racing is, I think, even tougher sometimes. When he first started rehab, nutrition was more at the front of mind for him, which was great. He asked me straight away, like, what do I need to do to get back faster? And that's a result of being inside our alumni program for the Triathlon Nutrition Academy. And Brian really quickly realized that what you eat during recovery is going to help you get back faster and is just as important as what you eat when you are in your big peak training blocks and you're physically fit. So by fueling smarter, he's been able to come back relatively quickly, I think, for that type of injury. And he's been able to support the healing and recovery process and build that confidence for his return to training so that he can come back stronger and even more robust than he was before he got injured. And if you're listening along and you know that nutrition is your missing link, make sure you register your interest in our final TNA cohort for 2025. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can head to dietitianapproved.com/academy to learn more. In this episode, Brian's going to share some of the mistakes he made with his nutrition really early on, some of the key changes he's made and implemented, and how nutrition has been an absolute game changer for him in helping him get back fast. So welcome to the podcast, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So can you take us back to 9 months ago? What happened?
So we decided to play a game of dads versus sons basketball over the holidays, and dads won the game, but there was a high price paid for that victory on the basketball court. I tore my ACL in the second game, and that was the end of the game for me.
Damn it, but at least you won.
He will never have a winning record against his dad.
So you retire as champion, drop mic, walk away.
Yes.
And what hurt more, the knee or the identity hit of being sidelined?
Initially, the actual surgery hurt, but the identity hit was big. I had done a race a few years ago, a full Ironman, and then shortly before my race, unfortunately, my mother passed away. And so it was a huge deal for me that not having her there at my race. We ended up moving 3 states away, 900 miles away. And I was just getting back into training and was ramping up for 70.3 Chattanooga. Tore my ACL about 6 months before that race. So I was already well into the race prep stage. So it was a hit. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. Like, where do you go from here? And I coach. So I'm trying to tell my athletes how to get through stuff. And I'm sitting here on the couch doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly.
So when you did your knee and you had surgery and you went into rehab, how much did you think nutrition was going to impact your recovery post-surgery?
Well, I'd already been through the full TNA program, was in the alumni squad at that point, and knew that a lot of our recovery is greatly impacted by what we eat. So I felt that, it's going to be impacted even more so in injury when I have to eat healthy and I'm trying to rebuild all that muscle and stuff that is sitting dormant, basically. I might have even talked with you about it in alumni squad before we even had surgery.
Yep, which is great. You're so proactive about that. And that's just testament to, wanting to get through this process fast, get back to doing what you love as quickly as possible. And not many people do that, I don't think. They more so just wallow in self-pity and, you lose your appetite after surgery, particularly if you're quite sedentary. And so listening to your body in that window of time sometimes is counterintuitive. I think being way more proactive, like your approach to get on it fast, do everything you can in your power to get back fast is going to be great and will set you up for success long term. Because you have got back to training pretty quick, I think. Like it's maybe not professional AFL player quick, but like quick.
My PT thought I was ridiculous because every time I went in for PT, I was like, when can I get on the bike again? When can I run? I mean, she knew from the first time I went in that my goal was to get back to doing triathlon. So,
yep. And do you think your recovery progressed faster as a result of having your nutrition right there in the beginning?
I think so. I was doing everything that PTs told me to do because I knew what my end goal was. I think without triathlon in the mix, I may not have had the same recovery process just because at that point, I'm not worried about nutrition. I'm not worried about activity. I'm just worried about, will I be able to walk normal again?
Yeah.
I'm not a professional sports player, so I'm not trying to get back on the field, but at the same time, triathlon and cycling in particular is my outlet. So I was like, if I can get back to cycling, I'm good.
Yeah. Just for some mental stability, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So looking back at what you've done, how different do you think your recovery would have been if you hadn't had that nutrition knowledge already in the bag to set yourself up for success for fast rehab process?
I think I probably would have gained more weight in that, first 4 to 12 weeks when I was very limited in what I could do movement wise. But based on our discussions and what we talked about, making sure I was eating the right types of food and the right portion sizes was key. One, not to balloon a bunch of weight, because then I just got to get rid of it. My wife makes fun of me. She says, the only reason you do Ironman is so you don't have to, you can eat whatever you want, basically.
You can't out-train a bad diet, though. You know this.
Yeah, you can't. And I've learned that in the program. So I think I was able to get up to speed fairly quickly. I mean, even within 5 months of my surgery, I was cycling 20 miles 2 or 3 times a week. And I don't think that would have been possible without the nutrition knowledge and eating properly.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What are you doing now? What's your training looking like in a progression, 9 months post-surgery?
Yeah, I'm 9 months post-surgery. I did have to have follow-up surgery 6 weeks ago. So that kind of set me back. When I found out I had the surgery, I basically stopped working out for 2 weeks. And then post-second operation, I couldn't work out for 4 weeks. So I just got back this week or last week into working out again. I decided to challenge myself with some friends that were going for their long birthday ride. Did 57 miles yesterday.
Nice.
So yeah, my plan was to just go out and ride, 30 to 40 miles with them, turn whenever I felt like I needed to turn. And I felt good. So I just finished the ride.
That's pretty good. I don't know what that is in kilometers, but it's a lot.
So it's a mile over a half Ironman distance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the Aussies that are like, I have no idea what 57 miles is.
It wasn't a PR by any stretch of the imagination, but I have a baseline now. I know where I'm at.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah.
And it must feel so good to get back out there and do some of those distances and all the disciplines that you love.
And I practiced all my nutrition on the ride, and they were all
tick.
stopping and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just following the plan. 70 grams of carbs an hour, making sure I was eating and drinking properly along the way, and it was well. I didn't have any issues.
That's amazing. So take us back to what you were doing before you even joined the TNA program then. Before you had your ACL surgery, what were some of the things like old Brian was doing beforehand?
I think it was pretty much a wing and a prayer. I did have a good training group that I started out my triathlon training with. So I did get some decent advice from them. I would say feeling on the ride, I was pretty consistent at and hitting targets very close to what I've learned in the TNA program. Where I was definitely falling short was in recovery nutrition and just overall nutrition in general. I think from a while working out perspective, I was solid as far as what I was bringing in carbs and electrolytes and sodium and all that. But pre and post training and everyday nutrition was all over the board.
That's pretty common. What sort of things were you doing that you look back now and go, man, I can't believe I did that?
A lot of fast food, carry out, definitely not enough veggies in the diet. probably close to hitting fruit every day, but not nearly consistent like I am now. So big changes.
I love that you're hesitant to tell me the true extent of it.
My diet was the typical Western diet of junk and more junk, and probably 4 or 5 times as much beef as you need per day.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the changes you've made is reduced your red meat consumption. How's that going?
It's going well. I'm dialing that down right now. So used to eat red meat probably 5 times a week, chicken the other times. So bringing a little bit more fish and a lot more plant protein. So trying to get down to 1 or 2 times a week with red meat. I think that's a goal for me. Not quite there yet, but definitely is what I'm working towards.
And have you noticed any difference?
I'm dropping a little bit of weight. So that's a plus. I'm a little bit above where I need to be anyways. So dropping a little bit of weight, and was part of the goal. Obviously, with my training workload, I can't do that too drastically because I'm still have to feel my training. So I'm okay with that falling off, half a kilo at a time.
Yeah. And we want to be careful not to lose too much muscle mass through this phase as well. When you're trying to build that back up, we want to lose just the body fat, which is really important. Hey, are you ready to take your triathlon performance to the next level in 2026? Then now's the time to start thinking about your nutrition. The Triathlon Nutrition Academy program opens again this January, and while that might feel far off, smart triathletes start planning now. If you want to get a jump start, there are 2 things you can do. First, head to dietitianapproved.com/academy and register your interest in our next cohort. I'm going to send out some pretty epic freebies once you're on that list. Second, when you add your name to the list, you unlock a nice little discount on my Triathlon Nutrition Kickstart course. This is the perfect on-ramp to start getting your fueling sorted right now, so that you're ready to hit the ground running in the new year. That's it for now. When you were training in your peak training, you've gone through some education, you understand how to do that, you're preparing for your 70.3 race. What does nutrition look like there compared to what you're doing now, or even sort of 6 months ago when you're in your post-surgery phase? How have you adapted to make sure you don't blow out?
Yeah, so I think primarily I've been eating more on the low end of the plate sizes that we discuss in the program. Primarily one, because I haven't ramped now with the second surgery fully back up. So as soon as my volume increases, probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I will ramp that back up, probably go to the moderate plate until I get to those super long workouts. Mainly my long works I'm feeling properly, and then the rest of them I'm trying to stay in that light, between the light and moderate, just driving that fat loss.
Yeah, and you feeling okay?
I'm feeling great.
How are your energy levels?
So yesterday, after the 57 miler, or 92 kilometers, I was pretty torqued yesterday, but that is also the first time I worked out in 6 weeks. So probably went a little hard.
I love it. Typical triathlete.
Outside of that, I ran today, felt great. No crash, no burn, no nothing.
That's amazing. I can't expect that you would have felt that way if you were eating the same way as you were pre-TNA. One of the most important lessons that we talk about is how to actually eat to support your training load. And when you suddenly go from peak training, you're, fueling for the work required, you've got a rhythm and a routine when it comes to that, and to suddenly have an injury and stop, so many athletes have no idea how to adjust their nutrition back to that. And that's where people do blow out post-surgery, or if you get sick and it takes you a while to return to training. So it's really valuable to understand how to do that and do it quickly to have, maintain body composition, and also, like Brian has tried to do, really get aggressive in the recovery process so he can get back to doing what he loves faster.
Yeah, I think a big key for that was eating foods that aided in the recovery early on. So even though I was eating lighter plates during that phase, eating foods that actually helped with recovery, and we talked about a whole list of those, tried to get as much of that in as possible. So even though I was eating less, I was eating things that actually help your body heal.
Yeah, the right things.
Food does that.
Yeah, funny. Funny that.
Yeah, I read a book last year, actually, maybe even prior to TNA, Joel Furman's book, Eat to Live, and he's 100% plant based. And I was looking at that and I was like, there's no way. But after going through the TNA program and seeing it and knowing other people, not necessarily saying you have to go all plant based, but there's definitely key things that you need to eat on a weekly basis that I think definitely have helped me get back to where I am quickly.
Yeah. And I would say I eat plant-based. My meals are majority plants, but I still do eat animal sources of protein. So there's a difference between full vegan and plant-based. It's just that those two terms seem to get used interchangeably. So your focus, while you are not a vegan or vegetarian, is just putting the focus back on plants, which is going to help you live a long and prosperous life.
Yeah. I think here in America and probably other Western cultures, we eat way too much animal-based protein, and that's the big problem.
So other than recovery and helping you through this rehab process, what are some of your other big wins about getting some nutrition education under the belt?
I mean, overall, I don't have the crashes that I had before. Like I typically work out in the mornings, and that mid-afternoon want to take a nap type thing, that is not usually there. I won't say it's not there, but if I'm sleeping well at night, that's not usually an issue I have to deal with. So that's a huge plus. Before I had the second surgery, I was back in rhythm. I was working out, and that mid-afternoon tiredness wasn't really an issue.
That's amazing. Anything else?
I mean, I think overall I just feel better eating better. I think a lot of us that haven't gone through a program like this probably eat a lot of junk that we probably don't need to be eating. And I think if we objectively look at ourselves, we would see that we in America for sure eat way more junk than we need to.
Yeah. And it's not just America, it's worldwide. Like there's a global problem. And I think when we do triathlon, we do a lot of exercise. People think you can get away with that. And one of my favorite sayings is you can't out-train a bad diet, because you might be able to get away with that calorie load, as in your body composition is stable, but doesn't mean that you put shit in your high performance engine and expect it to perform well. You do need to put the right building blocks in there if you want to get the most out of it, particularly if you want to be a triathlete for a long time, which I think most of us do. Like it's so addictive, right? You're in and then you're hooked, and then next minute you're signing up for an Ironman. If you want to have a long career, then understanding how to feel your body on a daily basis is so key.
Definitely. Learning to feel properly is like a game changer for me, because after my first race, I was done training. I was tired of training. I had, a lot of things going on, and it's like, I don't know if I really want to do this again. But then after going through the program, I was like, I could do this again. So here I am, 2 races signed up in the next 7 months and 2 surgeries in the last 9 months.
I love that you've got the confidence to do that, though. A lot of people wouldn't have that confidence to go, I know that I can recover fast, get over this, and get back to 70.3 distance racing in that time frame, because you've got the right building blocks on a daily basis.
Yeah, my PT thought I was crazy, but I said, well, if the doctor's telling me recovery time is 9 months to a year, I should be able to do a race in 11 months. And they thought, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that to yourself? But
because it's awesome.
Yeah, like you've got to have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you're never going to obviously attain it.
Do you have any advice for somebody that is maybe going through something similar, like dealing with an injury, and they haven't really thought that nutrition matters so much right now because they're not doing a lot of training?
Yeah, I think nutrition matters all the time. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways I've learned from the TNA program is even if I'm not working out, nutrition still matters. It's exponential, the impact it has when you're, working out consistently or daily like most triathletes do. Even if you're not working out, it plays such an important role in how you feel and how you act and how you behave towards others. Food impacts your moods.
Exercise impacts mine. If I don't exercise regularly, look out. It just regulates me. So what's next for you then? You've got a couple of 70.3s on the cards. What are they? When are they? And how are you feeling about lining up healthy and ready to race?
Yep. So December 25, I have Ironman Florida 70.3 on the calendar. I was supposed to do Chattanooga in May of 2025, and that was the last race I could defer to from my injury. Doctor said there was no way I was racing in May, so I picked the last calendar race that I could move to, which was Haines City. So my goal for that race, I know I'll be able to do the swim. I know I'll be able to do the bike. I've proven I can do the bike yesterday. So I know I'll be able to do the bike. And then, I had ACL surgery, which is knee surgery twice. And so I'm just going to go with whatever happens on the run happens on the run. I know I can walk the run and finish in time with where my swim bike splits will be. And then I re-signed up for Chattanooga in May of 26. So my goal will be to actually get back to race form by then. So that's what I'm pushing for.
That's very exciting. And what's the big game plan? Like, do you want to be doing triathlon when you're 90? You want to ever go to Kona? You want to do Ultraman?
I haven't decided that yet. My dad doesn't want me to do full Ironmans anymore. He says it's too hard on your body, which he's not wrong. But I think a 70.3 is a good distance where it doesn't have the training requirements, but obviously you can still be very, very fit with what you're doing for that.
Yeah, get your money's worth out there on course too. Are you going to come to Santa Cruz with us in 2027?
That, I actually talked with my wife about that this week, and possibly. That's a long way from here.
It's a long way from here.
Yeah, I did talk to her about the coming to Australia for the next one, but we'll see.
Cairns 2026?
I've got one kid in high school still, so that makes it difficult. Yeah, once he's gone, then we'll be empty nesters.
Don't wish that away, though. Goes so far too fast.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I know that coming back from a major injury like ACL surgery is not easy. And I think so many athletes will resonate with that. And, the mistakes and just the frustrations of not being able to do what your mind wants to do, but also some of those wins that you've experienced by getting your recovery right and fueling for where you're at to set you up for a successful and rapid recovery has been really good. I think it is just a good reminder that nutrition is important, not just on race day, like it is every day, as you said. It's important for rehab and to getting back onto the start line as fast as possible. And that right fueling and the building blocks are going to help speed up that recovery and reduce the risk of setbacks as you do build your training back up again and make sure that your body is ready for that load. And without having a solid base of nutrition knowledge, I think a lot of people are going to take a much slower road to get back after major injury because they just don't even think about that. I'm not training hard, I'm not racing hard, and so nutrition right now doesn't really matter, but it matters more than ever. So if you're listening and you are on the same road as Brian, you've been sidelined due to injury or you're in that rehab journey and getting back to the start line and worried about how fast you'll bounce back, then Brian's experience is just proof that you can do it. He's a little bit stubborn, but getting your nutrition sorted to help that can be an absolute game changer. So don't wait until you are stuck on the couch. Build that knowledge now so that no matter where you are in your rehab and recovery journey, you can get back as quickly as possible. And that's exactly what we do inside the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program when you have access to me most weeks to ask those questions. Like Brian was so proactive about that. Like, all right, this is happening. What do I do, Taryn? And we covered that sort of stuff super early. So you can go and check that out and learn more about it at dietitianapproved.com/academy for our final cohort of 2025. Brian, I can't wait to see you back out there on the start line, stronger than ever and built back as a robust engine. It doesn't matter if you have to walk that run at the end of the year, at least you're at the start line and you can smash the aquabike version, and then we'll see what 2026 has in store for you.
Yes, that's the goal.
Thank you, and hopefully we'll see you in the flesh at one of our TNA events soon. And for everyone else, I'll chat to you next week.